Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby. Like scary movies.
Want some candy?
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
What's up, Candy Killers? Welcome back to another episode of Monster Candy Podcast with Oubliette Sparks from Tsunami Bomb and myself, Screamin' E from the Memphis Murdermen. And since summer is coming to an end, we decided to try and fit a few more Summer Slaughter Creature Series reviews in before that happens. And that's why today we're going to talk about Ben Wheatley's sequel to the 2018 sci-fi monster movie, The Meg, directed by John Turteltaub, The Meg 2. But before we even get into all of that, we're going to jump right into horror news. Yeah. All right. You want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have very much, I don't think. But
Quality, not
I have a
quantity.
couple-
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that it's quality. Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I was super excited because like a slew of movies I wanted to see came out. And then I proceeded to, even though I had a day mapped out to see a movie, not buy tickets to any of them because I decided I no longer wanted to see Barbie: A Haunted Mansion or Talk to Me
Right.
because I'm weird, even though I had been excited about them all. But in Talk to Me news, one of my horror news is they're already doing a sequel.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. That was fast.
So, yeah. So
I
that
mean,
is that.
Yeah, people are.
Did you
have
see it
been-
yet?
I haven't, but a few people that I know have been like, dude, you got to see it. Which again is like a 50-50. I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
But I haven't heard
Yeah, like,
anything bad about it yet.
A lot of people are sucking its dick.
Yep.
The only bad thing I heard were people saying that it was more, it's not even bad, but people were saying it was more of a thriller than a horror because they said violence isn't horror. But I also hate people who make comments like that because I don't think that horror can be identified as anything because something scary to one person is totally not scary to another. So to me, the genre is so vast that I would never say a movie isn't horror. I might say it's not my kind of horror. But
Yeah.
violence, I think, can definitely be horror.
Well, I mean, any late 70s or early 80s slasher
Right.
that didn't have like an actual monster demon guy in it. I mean, they're essentially thrillers because they're not, anything supernatural. So it's a broad spectrum and it all has to do with the tone of the movie, what
Yeah,
can make it a horror
course.
movie versus not. But yeah.
I mean, for me, I think of horror as like horrific, right?
Right.
So, or like being terrified, like supernatural, paranormal, like, of course, like that's a given. But I think there's a place for all of it. And I also think as times and society changes, what fits into that is going to change too, which is
Mhm.
where you see some of these newer movies coming out that I think maybe in the past may not have been as scary as they are now. Like stuff
Right.
with like environmental things or severe weather stuff.
Yeah.
Or aliens.
Right. Who gives a shit about aliens right now? It's all fake
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
They're blue beaming us.
The other little blip I had been really, really excited to see Cobwebs with Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr. And it was written by Seth Rogen, I think, or produced by Seth Rogen, something about Seth Rogen. But you could not find it anywhere near me. Of course, it came out the same week as Barbie and Oppenheimer, and then after that, Insidious. So I think it just got like
Right.
pushed to the fucking bottom. But every review I've read has been great, and by the time you're hearing this podcast, it should be on streaming. So I am excited to check that one out because I think both Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr are amazing actors and also really amazing at being maniacal yet lovable, which I think for this kind of mom and dad sort of story is gonna be fun. And then the last little thing I had is the producers of a bunch of the Avenger movies are coming out with a horror movie. They just set a debut date for it, and the trailer came out. It's called All Fun and Games, and it has a pretty good cast. It has Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things. She was like the older sister.
Yeah, I was in a movie with her.
Oh, yeah? Asia Butterfield or Asa Butterfield from Ender's Game.
Okay.
Keith David from The Thing. Some of the people from Midnight Mass. And some other stuff. But it looks, I don't want to say it because it looks scary and fun. And the last movie I said that about was that fucking Stephen King piece of shit. What was it? Boogeyman? Yeah.
And I have not seen it. I meant to watch it a few weeks ago. And then
You should watch it.
I mean, I will. just so you don't have to go through that alone.
All alone.
Yeah.
I know. I need you.
Yeah.
Let me alone with this.
Moral support.
No, but don't worry. I took my fucking husband to go see that, and I'm surprised that he's still agreeing to see movies with me. But anyways, I am excited about it. Maybe it follows two children who play a game with their sadistic older cousin and awaken a cruel entity known only as the Scarrow. Scarrow.
Okay. I mean,
as I just said that out loud, if it's the Scarrow, that sucks. If it's the Scarrow, that feels a little better.
I mean,
but it's with a K, so not spelled like scare.
Right. Sounds like a good premise. I don't know.
Yeah, but check it out.
Hopefully it's a good ghost story.
Watch the preview. And then I saw that the new Insidious is like the highest grossing horror movie of 2023, and I'm not sure why. Given I have never hated any of the movies, I did not realize there were 4 or 5. 5? 4?
I think, 5 or 6.
So we were
there's a lot.
we were gonna do an episode on it because I thought this was like the 3rd or 4th, even though I think I've seen them all. And then you pointed out like, okay, I got to catch up. We got to watch like 5 movies, and I was like, wait, what? And then I looked it up, and there's a lot of them, which I need to rewatch them because I really feel like the storyline I remember could have been just wrapped right up in just a few.
Yeah. I can't remember which of the last ones I watched. It was one of the ones.
I missed some. I don't know.
I have It was one of the ones where that old lady was still alive, like the medium lady.
The skeleton, or something about a key, right?
Something, I think that was it. Was it? Wait.
Hold on. I'm going to look and see the names of them right now.
Yeah. All of these.
Oh, it's just chapter 2, Oh, yeah. The one before this is called The Last Key.
All right. All these poltergeisty
so I did
type
see
ones.
That.
Okay.
So there's 5 total. The newest one makes 5.
Right. Yeah, they all kind of blend together, all these types of movies. So was Insidious one of the ones with the little boy where he's being all contorted on the table? Was that an Insidious?
It's the one with Darth Maul.
Right. No, I know the face and I know the main actor guy. But there was some movie where this little boy got possessed.
Probably. I think the first one. I remember liking the first one, but I feel like I can't really. And I remember the second one. I think the mom goes to the other place. And then the 3rd and 4th, I don't know. I do remember like the finger and the key. But I mean, it's a bummer. I don't really remember. So maybe I don't want to rewatch them, but I kind of do because I want to see the new one. I don't know. I'm a confused person, guys.
It's
so many movies to watch, so little time.
It is real confusing because they have the same actor that's in all of the Annabelle and all those ones. Because I remember when you were saying it to
The
me.
Conjuring movies.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying something about it and about that guy. You're like, no, that's The Conjuring. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
right.
he's the poor man's Will Arnett,
Right.
Patrick Wilson,
Right.
or the
right.
less funny Will Arnett.
Yeah. I
I
just
got
always.
them confused for like a while because I do that with people. And I remember when I saw Insidious, because that one actually did scare the shit out of me. I was like, why did Will Arnett do this movie? So scary. And then someone told me it wasn't him. And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. I just thought
Right.
he had work done.
Yeah. I just always remember him from Watchmen. I'm like, that's the guy from Watchmen. That's it.
The movie, not the show.
Right. The movie.
I haven't seen that for fucking ever.
Yeah.
But I don't think I need to again.
And I remember him from one of the Captain Americas. He's like the shady FBI, CIA agent guy.
I thought you didn't watch any of the Avenger movies.
I think I've watched them all, actually. As of late, the Avenger movies and...
You were saying you weren't going to watch the Doctor Strange one.
No, I haven't watched any of those ones. I mean, just the actual Avenger movies or Captain America. I've seen all the Captain America ones because I was like, the first one's really fucking good. And then they just kind of got worse as they went on.
So
And
perhaps you should watch the zombie Doctor Strange one and stop being dumb about it.
I don't
If
like...
you've watched the Captain America movies, come on.
Yeah, but I actually liked Captain America as a comic book character. I did not
You're all like
Captain
USA. It's fine.
No, not even that. I actually hated it when I was younger because I don't know, he was always fighting Nazis, which is like cool, but it was like, I was like, I want Spider-Man and Ghost Rider and shit like that. But Doctor Strange I was never into that, and I'm not now. And I hate that actor who plays him.
I wasn't either, and I didn't, and the first one was fine or whatever, but the last one's good. I mean, they're all fine, but you should watch the last one.
Okay, maybe. Probably
you're
not, but
going
maybe.
to.
Maybe we'll see.
You're going to.
Okay. You got any other horror news?
Nope.
All right. I got one thing, but yeah, the Stranger Things chick. I was in her first movie as the band. I don't know if if you guys have ever played the Hazmat in Oakland when it was around.
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's one of those like illegal punk, or was one of those illegal punk warehouse squatter places that had
Oh, like the places you die in fires?
yeah, or like Burnt Ramen was in Richmond, like those weird places. Anyway, somehow the director of this movie called I Believe in Unicorns got a hold of me and was like, hey, we want to use your song for our movie. And we were wondering if you guys would actually want to be in it and be the band in the punk club scene. And I was like, I don't know. How much money are we talking? So, yeah, I ended up just being
How much
like,
did they pay you?
they ended up paying us. The deal I took was just like $500 for the fucking song and the thing. Cause I'm like, cause they explained it to me. I'm like, one, I don't really give a fuck about this movie. It sounds lame and I don't think it's going anywhere. And it hasn't really, but anyway.
I'm looking it up right now. They have a pretty high Rotten Tomatoes score.
It's like a coming of age movie of a young girl.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it was.
we took the deal and then went and filmed it at the Hazmat, which is like the worst fucking place ever. Like so fucking filthy. People live there, like total squatterville. And we, that's where I really figured out. I'm like, I don't ever want to be in a movie again because we get there at like 9:00 in the morning and it takes us till
You leave
5
at 3
o'clock
in the morning.
the afternoon to just film a 30-second scene pretty much.
Oh, trust me. After doing the Severance filming at the restaurant, I mean, so both times we did it, there was only one day of filming, but it was 3 days of repainting and like redoing the entire structure inside. Then the film day was like a 20-hour day both times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally for a 3-minute scene.
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 days of repainting and putting everything back.
Oh yeah. This director, I don't think she had any idea what she was getting into when she got this squatter warehouse, because they have the fucking craft service table and we're going to provide drinks, beer,
Right.
like all the shit. And I'm like, and this club is like right under an overpass in Oakland. There's an encampment right across the street where everyone's getting their fucking heroin. So needless to say, by like noon or 1 o'clock, everyone's shit-faced drunk. Some kid poured gasoline on him and threatened him to light himself on fire.
Why were they giving people beer? in
Dude,
the
I
movie
don't
shoot?
know. I don't know.
To make the moshing scene more interesting?
I guess. Or they were just like, beer's okay, like if you bring it yourself. I don't know, but there was a lot of beer and everyone's fucking got wasted. There was that thing, so they shut everything down for a little bit. It just turned into fucking chaos. But yeah, but she was in it and I had no, this is like way before Stranger Things or anything. This is like 2010, maybe 2011 or 12, somewhere between 10 and 12. Anywho, yeah, we were in that with her and I was just like, dude, acting sucks. Even if you have your own fucking like trailer, I don't want to sit anywhere, not do anything for this fucking long and like have to redo something 40 times. I
watched the scene just now, though. It looks good.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's I ended up having to watch the movie because I found it somewhere on like Prime. I was like, I'm going to watch this thing and see how it goes. And I was like, oh yeah. But it took me to like the end of the first season of Stranger Things where I'm like, why does that chick look so familiar? So I IMDb'd her and I'm like, oh, no shit. That's her. Huh. And she is super tiny in real life. Like she was even tinier then. Yeah, because she was like 14 or 15 or whatever. She was young. So, But anyway, that's not my horror news. My horror news is,
sorry,
guys. When me and Oobs cross streams, we talk a lot about band shit. If you haven't noticed,
they traverse.
Yeah, we tell you
all over the place
the tall tales of band life. Twilight of the Dead. So it looks like Romero's planned zombie film is gonna see the light of day.
Really?
I don't. You know me. I have like a love-hate relationship with like the last 2 or 3 of his films, zombie films, like Survival of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, where people really fucking hate on Land of the Dead, but I don't mind it. I think it's for like being his one like high budget Hollywood movie. I'm like, dude, it's fucking good. I mean, it's keeps in track with his typical shit. It's fine. It's well done. And then the last 2, Diary and what was Survival of the Dead, were just like super low budget, shaky film, weird, sucky shit. But I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. As long as it's decent, I'll be all right about it. It's going to take place on a tropical island where I guess the heroes or the people in it are going to be caught between 2 factions of the undead. So
interesting.
Yeah, that could be an interesting storyline. We'll see. But with the writer's strike and everything, we'll see how long it takes to actually get done. They're apparently at the moment they're applying for an interim agreement. So we'll see about that. And I don't know. I want it to be good. I want it to be real good for Uncle George, but I don't have a lot of faith in movies anymore. So we'll see. And that is my horror news. And I think that's the end of that was horror news, everybody. And now it's time to get into Meg 2 by Ben Wheatley, And I just saw a article on Fangoria about why he was the best person for this movie. I didn't read it because I'm just not going to agree with it. But yeah, so it's the sequel to the first Meg, and yeah, that's the sequel. Do you want to read the storyline, or do you want me to? God damn it, Warner
I
Brother.
can if you want.
All right, go for it.
Whose brother?
Who's what?
You said, "God damn it, little brother."
I said, go for it. Go for it. No, you gotta go for it.
Jonas Taylor leads a research team on an exploratory dive into the deepest depths of the ocean. Their voyage spirals into chaos when a malevolent mining operation threatens their mission and forces them into high-stakes battle for survival. Pitted against colossal prehistoric sharks and relentless environmental plunderers, they must outrun, outsmart, and outswim their merciless predators.
Oh man, see, that storyline sounds so much better than the movie I saw. But it's not inaccurate. So let's I don't know, let's do the things we didn't like about it, because I want to end on a good note. I don't want to be a downer on this episode. So what are the things you didn't like about it, Oubliette?
There weren't enough sharks.
Agreed.
I mean, there were many sharks, but there was not enough shark action.
Agreed.
And pretty early on in the movie, there's a part where they're like, so once they see like the prehistoric Meg or whatever, the ones that are underneath, they're
Right.
like, oh my God, that's the biggest one we've ever seen. And perspective wise, none of them ever looked bigger than the one in the first to me.
Right. Yeah.
They all looked smaller, like girth wise. And yeah, I said girth. Because I'm not looking at the length of the Meg. You're looking at that when they open the jaw, that fucking like circumference.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hitting the sides is what you're
And-
saying.
Yes. And I was so bummed because, like, okay, size aside, because, you know, size doesn't always matter. Size aside.
That's what she said.
Right. When they showed the sharks, the Megs, under, and they're like swimming to see something and everything else, they're showing them they've got like shit and scars and they're all like wild. That made me so excited that there was going to be crazy fucking shark action. Like
Yep.
it was going to blow Meg 1 out of the water. And so I was like, fuck yes. Fuck yes. It actually got me so excited that I was like, you know what? I'm going to have some wine while I watch this movie. So I ran to like the lobby and got a can of wine because I'm like, this shit's going to be great. There was not a lot of shark action.
Very true.
And so for that, it really made me sad. And like the storyline, like E just said, it sounds fine on paper. It sounds great when I read it. But it wasn't, I mean, it was that, but it wasn't that. It
No.
was like a lot of people. It was a lot of like, how are we going to do this if we can't breathe? And like oxygen running out. And like that shit has been done in every outer space, underwater, whatever movie. Like we've seen it. And I understand it adds suspense, but they could have shortened that time. So like for those of you who haven't seen it, there's a part where they're having to like put on their fucking suits that are apparently state of the art in these brand new badass suits, yet they don't have enough oxygen to go very far, which also doesn't make sense with the technology they have in this movie. And the fact that there's like no fail safe or secondary plan other than one submarine that somebody sabotaged. I'm sorry, but like, well, although all those fucking billionaires just died in a sub, so like maybe it is realistic that there's no fucking real backup plan. But this is supposed to be like a giant scientific, like they have this fucking place that can house a Meg and
Right.
everyone can hang out underwater and watch it. Like they've got money. And on the side, you know, the owner's like fucking mining for some kind of expensive ass shit. So like they should have more money and better suits.
You would think so.
And also their helmets shouldn't crack so fucking easily.
Dude, I rewatched
But
it.
you got to see
Yeah.
an implosion.
I rewatched it today, And when that part came up, I was like, really, really, that's going to be the thing that does that person in is
Yep.
you couldn't make anything stronger, when you're dealing with however many leagues under the sea that you already know, you've already been through this, and
Mhm.
like you can't get it together enough, and that's going to be the thing. That's it, huh? All right. So yeah,
Mhm.
everything you have said, I agree with so far. What else?
That I hated about it
Yeah,
or didn't like about it.
because I have a laundry list about the shit I didn't
I
like
mean,
about
I'm
it.
sure. I can't remember. Did they explain why the girlfriend died?
No, not that. If they did, it was like a brief
Yeah. Okay.
thing that
Exactly.
didn't.
So that pisses me off because like she's young. Was it cancer? Like, did
Right.
she get eaten by the fucking child Meg that her fucking
they-
brother or whatever is all obsessed with
Yeah.
trying to train? Like what?
that they
And I feel
got
like
somehow.
They did. I can't remember because they did that memorial, but did they say? Yeah. Anyway, so that pissed me off, and then just that like Jason Statham's like raising the kid as his own because that kid isn't that much. I mean, she's older, but she's not that much older than she was in the first one. So how long was he even with the mom? And then he just like adopts this fucking kid,
Right.
which fine, people do that, but still, not. I feel like his personality. I don't know. It seemed weird. And then what else made me mad? Oh, the fucking like not pirate guy, but the fucking main guy that's like
His nemesis
the
from
mining operation guy.
right.
Like he just kills all of his people instantly. That seemed like really kind of extreme. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here. But I feel like if I was in charge of this huge or funding this giant scientific operation, but also secretly funding this mining operation, I would have like a great excuse if that mining operation was found.
Right.
And I would have a story about why this mineral will actually like bring science and society further.
Right.
So then if people fucking find it, I don't just blow up all my workers for no reason. Not even find it, but just like kind of pass by and might find it. That's crazy. People with that much fucking money make at least should, and that kind of thing that can get them in that much trouble, like have other plans and storylines aside. That's why court cases take like 20 fucking years before they can find people like that guilty. They don't just like hire some mercenary type to hang out in this sub and like have a kill switch to blow up people.
Which, by the way, didn't look as high tech as the sub the other people came down in.
Oh no, it was janky as fuck.
It looked like a fucking can. I'm like,
Yeah, no, it looked like a frat house submarine. It was just like there's like shit everywhere. And I know this movie isn't supposed to be realistic, but like, come on,
but there's got to be consistency.
Do better.
in the
do better.
suspension of disbelief. Like you have to keep
Of
things
course.
consistent because you have to act like it's in a world where that shit would be a thing. You got anything else before I get into?
Nope, I don't think
Okay.
so.
All right. So I 1,000% agree with everything you just said. And to piggyback off some of those things is like, okay, none of the subplot random ass storylines really made sense, or like they weren't really tied up in any significant way. So they were just kind of introduced loosely and just added. They were just added to give Jason Statham like action fight scenes for half of the fucking movie, which also leads to like there wasn't enough fucking shark action. Like half of the movie was them fighting other people, and then with like a shark swimming by and someone getting eaten, and then they would go back to fighting these bad guys, these newly introduced bad guys. And all right, I rewatched The Meg the day after I saw this, and when we were telling Mike Terry about it through text, you're like, it's the same movie, and I'm like, no, it's not. I agree. It's the same movie as far as like how it goes, like what the overall plot is. It's the same movie, totally. But the first one had this, it was so much more of a streamlined linear storyline, and it had more suspense, which made it like a heavier movie, almost like the original Godzilla. Like it still had this underlying thing, like the dad scientist, being like, we shouldn't be killing these things. They're fucking ancient beings. We should be exploring them. That's fucking bad to kill. Like, okay, quit fucking up the oceans and quit doing things with it, which gave it that weight to it. And then they had those peaks and valleys, which made the original one a little more of a horror movie. I mean, it was still a little bit campy and everything, but the tone was a little more serious for most of it, because you'd have these long stretches where it's, kind of tense, and they're building up this suspense and like, oh shit, what's going to happen? And then like this one real big thing would happen, almost like kind of like Jaws too. Like not a lot of shit's going on, and then this every once in a while this really big thing with the enemy, which is the shark, would happen. This one was like, all right, let's add all this other weird shit in it that doesn't really get tied up or doesn't really get explained, for the purpose of more action and not enough shark. And first of all, where the fuck did they get this Meg that they had trapped in the thing? Because I rewatched the end of the Meg again today, and I'm like, was it one of those things like, oh no, now there's another one, they didn't get it because in the Meg, the first one, there's two, but no, it was just the two, so they killed them. Also, what did they do? Go back down and get another one or whatever? But they have one, and then it escapes from this fucking facility that, okay, this school bus sized prehistoric shark burrows through this barricade, this screen out into the open ocean, and just nobody knows that happens. Everyone's like, huh? Oh shit, she got out. How'd she get out? Like a giant fucking shark broke out. Even in Deep Blue Sea, they knew. Anytime something was breached, they knew. And those sharks weren't that big. So
right.
there's that. And then just the lack of suspense, it was just like action after action after action with like maybe a minute or two of like a downtime, and then more action of fights and guns. I thought the cast had zero chemistry, except for maybe Jason Statham and the daughter, because there's at least some storyline there still.
Sure.
But it's like, or what's his name? The other scientist dude, Cliff Curtis. There was still that, carryover chemistry a little bit, and Paige Kennedy, DJ's character in this one was all of a sudden some like fucking badass. After fucking 4 years or 5 years, I took some lessons and I got prepared. I'm like, dude, you're not going to turn into fucking Rambo. Like all that shit annoyed me. It's like they made everything about the fucking characters in the first one, they made twice as ridiculous, which camped everything up. And I get it. Like sometimes that works, but the biggest complaint about the Meg was that it wasn't super scary. There wasn't a ton of blood and guts like everyone thought there was going to be. I didn't think that. I thought, it's a giant fucking shark, like, and Jason Statham is in it. I'm like, it can't be too scary. Like, it's not going to be like a Jaws or whatever. It's going to be a monster movie. And I thought it was a good one. The whole pace was like an old sci-fi monster movie. Like the camp was just online enough, but then they'd have those down moments where it got more serious. But all the characters in it this time were just completely ridiculous, like a parody of their characters in the first one. Too many unnecessary storylines. Like
there were a lot.
Yeah, it was just far.
And just like the girl who's the bad girl.
Right. Yeah.
Like the mole.
Yeah. Like, I was like, what?
Be a little more creative.
Totally. Like a lot of shit. They were just like, we're just going to throw a bunch of shit on the wall and we'll mask it with a big explosion or a fucking big Meg attack. They relied on that a lot to like explosions and this fight scene, these gunfights. I'm like, dude, the thing I thought was super weird, it made me feel kind of dirty though. Like I get it, they're both probably heavily financed and produced by some like Chinese investors, which is why it was not half the dialogue, but a lot of the dialogue was in whatever Mandarin or whatever they were speaking for like the first 20 minutes of the movie. But what made me feel super dirty is when they're at that dinner memorial thing and they're like, because China cares about pollution so much or saving the oceans. And I was like, ew, that's even less true than when people say that shit about like the US. I'm like, they don't give a fuck like at all. So that made me feel kind of icky watching it. I'm like, oh. So that was weird. Also, I mean, Statham's fight scenes were like excessive. He didn't fight any person in the first one. In this one, it was like every 5 to 10 minutes, he's hand-to-hand combat. I mean, it opens up with him fighting people. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's going to be this movie. And this is the thing that pissed me off because the storyline you read, the synopsis you read was fucking cool.
Totally.
They could have cut all that weird shit out with the evil financier in her quest to mine this weird shit.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And all the weird, like, random people, random crew that died that were just kind of like fodder. Like, you didn't care about any of them. There was no connection. Whereas in the first one, you kind of developed a connection to the people that were in it that died. And there was a storyline. Like,
true.
Everyone had like a...
That's true. This one, like, it was very brief. You didn't really have much time.
But, all right, get rid of that whole fucking weird thing. Get rid of his arch nemesis pirate dude. And they could have just made such a better story, even with the captured Meg they have. For some reason, they go back down to where this station is, the mining station, for whatever reason, end up getting some weird shit happening, and they have to make it from their downed submarine to the mining station and walk through the trench, hence why it's called the trench. And then they have to fight all these weird dinosaur fucking amphibious things with legs that for some reason survive underwater, but then also at the end come up on land and they're like completely fine and jumping 30 feet in the air onto helicopters and all kinds of weird shit. Like that to me, rewatching it today, I'm like, man, they could have cut 40 minutes out of this movie and just really focused on them making it to the station and fighting off a Meg, or even after they make it, you know, let another Meg up or do whatever. But after they get back up on top, it's like the same thing as the first one, just not as good. They go to another party beach and then there's a bunch of slow motion and Jason Statham is flying through the air and doing all kinds of shit. And I'm just like, oh, God, this is painful to watch, because they had a cool thing, even with their fucking robo aqua suits. And I'm like, you can punch through rocks, but the fucking glass on the helmets can't withstand, you know.
Right. So, that drove me crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
I mean, the imploding part was kind of cool.
But... Oh, dude, perfect. Let's get right into the stuff we did like. That was one of the things I did like. There were some cool kill scenes. That was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Also, when they're walking, like that whole scene, it was really pretty. Like all the animals and the bioluminescent stuff. I love that. That was cool. I mean, I did love that the uncle or whatever was trying to train the Meg. I thought that they could have taken that farther though, and they tried to, but I didn't think it was as effective as it could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, a weirdly forced new character in it. And like, yeah,
but they didn't make it likable enough or not. It was like, I don't know. They put this character there and I mean, there is a storyline, but I don't know.
It just seemed like we need a new storyline to put in this sequel to kind of make some weird connection, which I'm like, the niece is the daughter, the granddaughter's character. She's older. I did like their chemistry, her and Jason Statham's.
Yeah, they were good.
Right.
And I liked her like level of knowledge, like it fit because the first time she snuck in and everything.
Right. Suya Sophia Kai Mei Ying. Yeah. Yeah. No, it totally fit. I would have actually even liked it better if they kind of made her his like kind of like right hand man type deal, like his sidekick. Like she's been through this shit before. She knows what's up. She's trained.
Yeah, she's ready.
She's knowledgeable. She knows. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. But in his character, again, he's like some weird, I'm going to fucking stop people from dumping shit in the sea. I'm like this Greenpeace guy. Whereas like the first one, he's like the reluctant
He's like, I'm
marine.
never going back again.
Yeah. Marine biologist, captain, driver, fucking guy who's like, all right, I drive the fucking submarines and I'm not going to do this ever again, and gets pulled back in. And now he's,
Yeah, that was a weird arc for him.
mm-hmm.
But that's why I think something happened with the mom dying that had to have been her trying to, like, they should have put a part where she's dying trying to, like, uncover some people dumping shit or whatever. Then that
Right.
would have made more sense. Like,
Totally
he was
would have made more
continuing
sense.
her work. But maybe that was something they didn't cut out, but it definitely left, like, kind of an empty thing. And I know we're in things we like, but I just still can't get past the fucking airlock. If I have to watch one more movie in space or water with like an airlock and people dying scene, like I'm just stop. Think of something else.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
watching this shit since I was like 3 years old, and it just gets really old watching some character you don't care that much about fucking die.
The part I did like about that scene, though, aside from the actual implosion, which I was like,
Implosion was cool as shit.
I was like, that's all right, cool. Is it like he gets the door closed like 3 seconds after it happens?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh man, that would suck.
Mm-hmm.
But
No, but of course, that's all those. It's
Yeah,
always like,
yeah.
oh, just almost there.
we just had a little more time.
I'm trying to think what else I like. Oh, I love that they brought the dog back. I hope it's the same
yeah.
dog. I know it's not, but I wish
Pippin.
it was.
Pippin.
Maybe it is. Yeah, that dog is the fucking winner of both movies.
Yep. The monsters were fucking cool.
The Megs?
Yeah, I mean, just all of it. Even the little
Yeah,
dinosaur
that-
guys, like the Kraken.
Yeah. See, I do like the little dinosaur guys. They
Mhm.
remind me of the little guys at the beginning of Jurassic Park 2 or 3. I can't
know.
remember, but they
Mhm.
were in the book, the beginning of Jurassic Park 1.
Right.
But like I love that kind of creature and that size. Like they're not the apex predator, but they're just like these gnarly little gremlins that are gonna fuck shit up regardless.
Oh, totally.
And
Which makes
pack
them even
hunters.
like kind of scarier because it's
Yeah.
a relative size to humans. Whereas if something's like so giant, you're small, so you can kind of hide from big giant shit. But these
Yeah.
things are like your size, so you're like, fuck. They're fast and they're vicious. You're like, oh, I can't get away. So I like them.
Mhm. They'll flank you.
Yep.
Those things are stuff like that's always more scary. No, those were cool. The design was cool. I mean,
Mhm.
it was pretty CGI, but I thought it was effective and not too shitty like a fucking Predator Prey,
Right. Oh,
where they just made everything CGI
yeah. Which
for no fucking reason.
back to a little bit of more
The
horror
fucking
news.
bear.
Yeah, I think they're talking about a Prey 2, like a sequel to that, but we'll talk about that another time. Yes, I agree. I like
Good.
the monsters. I was bummed that there wasn't a bigger fight scene with the giant squid or octopus or kraken or whatever.
Same. The second I saw those tentacles, I was like, yes, redemption. This
Yep.
movie's going somewhere. And then it didn't. Like, I am an avid 24 or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea person. I really hope there are giant squids that have fucking just capsized boats. I'm here for this kind of thing in reality. So when this happened in the movie, I was excited.
Yeah. And like the scenes that they had it in were kind of cool, especially when it gets to fucking the one Meg and then he gets loose a little bit and starts eating it up. Although I don't know. It's a weird, like I'm conflicted because in the first one, you're like, all right, I want the people to get away from the Meg because there's like a clear adversary position there or relationship between the two.
Sure.
This one, they introduce
Right. You like some of the Megs? You hate some of the Megs? Like,
yeah, and then you get
you like the octopus? Do you
Right.
hate it? I don't know.
Yeah, I was like
I'm
confused.
not sure. Maybe they're friends. Maybe they have this cool life under this, like, way down. Like,
Yeah,
I feel bad for the Meg they had captive that kind of likes them because, like, it wanted to be with its family and it couldn't fucking get there.
right.
And then, like, the one that was under there, the super old one, he's all scarred up. Like, what happened to him? Maybe he's
Yeah.
just fucking pissed off because some bad shit went down. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he should kill everyone because they deserve it.
Right.
Who
right.
knows? Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Who do I like in this movie? I don't know. Who's supposed to win?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt that way too. I'm like, God damn it. I really wanted to like the giant Kraken. I'm like, that would have been a
Yeah,
fucking
same.
sweet fucking fight between the 3 Megs or 2 or however many other and this giant. Maybe he was the fucking, like you said, maybe he was the friend. He was there to save the fucking people from the Megs, their arch nemesis. But he get that.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And we're not going to
Right.
because
No.
they didn't tell us where he came from or why he was there.
No.
We don't know any of the Meg's backstory. Why
don't.
is he scarred up? Like, why are they, like, what have they done down there? Were they always down there? Did they ever come to the surface one day? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't really know anything. And I'm more
And
confused.
the mating thing, they were like, oh, it's mating season or whatever. They threw that in there. I forgot about
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's why, she or he's going crazy. The one they have in captivity. They're like, the others are mating. And then that storyline completely disappeared.
Yeah.
And they're all swimming together or around each other for the whole movie. And there is no shark fucking that happened.
Right. Yeah. And what were they calling it? Hachi? Or calling it was a her because they said
Something like that.
Yeah, I remember them saying she's freaking out or she's acting weird.
Oh, and also when they're like ready to go down the sub and she escapes, even though they have trackers on her, they never thought to put warning trackers if she escapes
Right.
the
Yeah.
cage.
That's what I mean. She's fucking swam.
They find out as she's almost at them and they're
Right.
like, oh, there's something big. Oh, but there's a tracker on it. It's her. Like,
Right.
what the fuck? You have this like $1 trillion piece of
Yep.
animal that you're doing all these experiments on and raising, and it leaves the fucking pool you keep it in, and there's
Yeah.
no alarm,
That's what I
and it just goes through a fucking vent, and the vent happens to be the exact width and
Right.
height of the shark.
Uh-huh.
Like, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I was saying before. Like, how do you not know that thing got out? And even
What?
even if the bad guys, like the evil chick, not the head evil chick, the mole, is like, okay, it's gonna
Right.
get him. Okay, it's still going down and potentially gonna eat the people you're working with, like you're working for, the bad people. You might want to give them a heads
Right.
up, or the other 100, 200 people working at that facility might
Yep.
see like, oh shit, it got out. Alarms
Yeah,
go
but
off
they
like,
just blew them up like instantly.
yeah, it's just like nothing. It's like, okay, now it's out. And then, yeah, like you said, they didn't, that tracker didn't come up on their radar until it was like, down there with them. They're like, what? I'm like, what?
Which just made me realize the woman who's paying for all this research is also the one paying for the miners. Why the fuck on earth wouldn't they come up with some sort of fake data saying that they had to dive at a different part?
Yeah. Yeah.
And be like, oh my God, we're getting seismic activity. It's going to collapse at this point. You need to go 300 meters out and
Yeah.
then dive there.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? They followed the sharks.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. But
So maybe
still,
they did do something like that.
but still,
But still, I would have
could-
had them go farther out to where there was no chance they would fucking like, I don't know.
foil
The
your
whole thing
plans
seems
on
very
mining
poorly
stuff.
executed.
Yeah. Mining stuff that you never really explained what was going
And now,
on.
honestly, if like the bad guy would have been like Hans Gruber, this
Uh-huh.
movie would have been better. But he wasn't. Like,
No.
I don't even remember what that dude looks like. I remember he looked kind of greasy.
Yeah. Sweaty. He's definitely sweating a lot or wet or whatever. Yeah. It was just, I don't know. It was a weird storyline on top of the actual storyline.
And without Rainn Wilson, I mean, Jesus.
Right. Again, a good comic relief character who's not even necessarily evil. He's just kind of corrupt, but his corruption still stayed in line with with the linear storyline, and it was just like this little bit of an arc where they're from the first one where they're like, oh shit, okay, yeah, I notified everyone, and they're gonna go take care of the biggest Meg, and we'll be good. And that whole part took like 10 minutes, but it made sense, and it was like, okay, yeah, this is a guy, he just wants money, he doesn't want to get fucking sued. It wasn't anything like super nefarious, like doing all this illegal weird shit. He's just like, I'm just trying to save my ass, so go fucking blow that thing up. Yeah It's a fucking movie. It's frustrating.
Like a circus.
It was I don't know, let's rate this, because I just feel like we could just find more shit that we disliked about it, keep going on and on and on.
That's true.
So, all right, I'll go first.
Okay.
Oh, man, this is a generous score because it could have been low, like real low. I'm going to give it a whopping, for all its faults, there were still some good things that I thought were entertaining. So I'm going to give it a 2 Meggy underwater giant candy corns. And that's because I really did enjoy the monsters. And if you could just cut the middle out, I thought it could be like definitely not as fun as the first one, because I really love the first one. But I thought it could be a more entertaining and likable movie if you cut the middle out. But I mean, it could really be like 1 3/4 candy corns, but I'm going to be generous because I do like the giant sharks, and I'm glad they're making monster movies. So even though that halfway through it ended up becoming like a sci-fi channel, better done Sharknado movie. Like once they get up above ground and to the beach, I'm like, oh, fuck. But with all that, I'm going to stick with my 2.
Same. 2.
Okay.
I mean, if it came on TV or something, I might watch it again. I don't hate it. It's just, I wasn't actually expecting much. I was just expecting a lot more eye candy as far as the sharks went. And I was really disappointed that a movie about megalodons didn't have that many shark attacks or like cool shark scenes.
Right.
It was more like, let's chase the sharks and find a mining operation and unravel this fucking conspiracy and barely get to safety. And then, oh yeah, the sharks are still around. Let's figure out what to do with them.
Which honestly, that probably would have been a better movie. Like, we got to do all this shit while we fend off these fucking giant Megs.
Yeah. Like, I was expecting so much more. Like, there was a couple of times where they got close and shit almost happened, but it was not intense enough.
Right.
Like, there was even the part before they got in the airlock that one kind of swoops by, but it was like, it wasn't scary.
No.
Like, why not, while they're walking, kind of see shadows in the distance and like a creepy, like there's so many more effective ways they could have had creepy stuff even and kept the scenes they had if they would have had the sharks like stalking them more. Right. But instead it was just like every once in a while a whoosh and like no one got hurt.
Totally. Well, I mean, that's one of the things too. Like, it had some cool scenery.
Or I guess one person got picked off by a shark.
Right.
But it was lame. It was like you saw nothing. Like,
remember in the beginning, that the kid's uncle, when he was trying to do his clicker thing, and then that shot where he's in front of the Meg floating, and it's just like,
that was cool.
That was a cool fucking shot. It was like kind of creepy because it was dark. Another thing I hated about this movie though, because it was real dark, like in the dark scenes, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But that part was cool. So yeah, I agree with everything you just said. If
they would have kept that kind of style, I would have been way more into it. It's just like how Jaws is such an effective movie. And then Meg, the first Meg, was too, because it showed even more, but it still kept it in this like suspenseful way. Like even in the first Meg, when it's towards the end and they think it's the dead body and it's really the whale. And anyone who's watching sees it immediately and is like, this is a fucking whale. That's not the Meg. But like that part was cool as shit. And it was also cheesy, but it was done in such a way that it was awesome. Like this one, every time it almost did that, other than that scene you just talked about, it fell short. And like when it picked that person off while they were walking, fine, that's creepy. But then after that, it should have followed up with like all 3 of them stalking and like fucking with them before they got in the airlock or something.
Yep.
But instead, that was it. It just like killed somebody. That's
Yeah.
and nothing else happened. You don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't menacing enough. It wasn't
Mm-mm.
cheesy enough. It was like it just was. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, they just didn't execute anything they did well, except for the designs of the monsters, of the creatures. And I'm like,
Totally.
that's cool. And when there were big fight
Visually,
scenes,
it's great.
visually, yeah, it's fucking rad. But as far as the story goes, which is weird because it's the same writers from the first one.
I know, but I don't know. I don't know if it's the director or cinematographer, but like there was not that visual
Yeah.
stalking creepiness and like shock factor.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
no.
very much an action movie,
Mm-hmm.
which both kind of were, but I think this one definitely took the horror element out
Mhm.
of it
Well,
because it wasn't
Yeah.
scary. And I get scared easily, and I'm also fucking terrified of sharks, the number one most thing I'm scared of. So like
totally. Well, yeah, I mean, there
this
just
one,
wasn't.
the fact that I was like calm through the whole thing, that's
Yeah.
not a good sign.
I mean, it was just a very visually stimulating movie to watch with cool creatures. But like, yeah, Ben Wheatley,
Mhm.
he's known for In the Earth, never saw it. Rebecca, Strange Angel, Happy New Year, Colin Burstead, Free Fire, like all these movies that the Doctor Who TV series for 2014,
Mhm.
like I just think it was the wrong director. So I think you could definitely camp it up and make some, even add a little more action. Cause again, a lot of sequels do that. Like Aliens did that with,
Okay,
in
the
relation
Meg
to
2
Alien.
trailer has more action than the whole movie. And I
Right.
don't even know how that's possible,
Yeah. Yeah.
or it feels like it.
It was like, I think it was just like an overstimulation of, there's just like action in it, but a lot of it doesn't have to do with the fucking sharks. So I'm like,
Right.
I don't want to see this movie. I want to see the fucking Meg. I understand you run the risk of kind of making the same movie, which they ended up doing anyway. But at this point, like even Aliens, okay, yeah, there's more people in it. It's less suspenseful, kind of. But even that did a good job of having a lot of suspense in it. This one went the way.
Second Alien movie, was
Yeah,
awesome.
Aliens. Yeah. I
After
mean,
that, it
I
starts
loved it.
kinda
Right. But like this
going
one
all over the place.
went the way of like the Jaws sequels. Like people
Mhm.
like Jaws 2 and Jaws a lot. Weirdly, a lot of people like Jaws 3D, which is fucking horrible. But this feels like
I
a
like
Jaws.
I like the bad one with the underwater water park.
Yeah. See, but I mean,
Yeah, I
there's
like
like,
that.
but even
it's
that's
cheesy fun.
right. Even that's so bad.
This
It's kind of
wasn't
like,
cheesy fun.
no, it's like they really tried to make a good movie.
This was an action movie
cheesy.
gone wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, God
This
damn
is
it.
an action movie with sharks.
Yeah.
For no real reason
Yeah.
other than to give them a reason to dive in the submarines.
Yeah.
Like literally take the fucking sharks out of this movie and put anything you want as a reason to do a dive into a trench and
Mhm.
it'd be the same fucking movie. Like
Yeah.
that's what's sad about this movie is that it's called The Meg 2 and the Meg is not the main character.
No, he's not.
And
They're
the
not.
Meg should be the main character or at
Yeah.
least a supporting actor. And
Yes.
it's not. They're
No.
just like background.
They're definitely a background, like a secondary storyline to whatever's going on. And that's a bummer because this had a lot of potential. But I don't know. I mean, it fucking grossed a lot of money, had a huge opening weekend.
Oh yeah.
And sure, it's fun if you want to just, again, and there's a huge fan base for stuff like Sharknado. So, I mean, I think this
Of
is
course.
kind of like a actually well done Sharknado type movie.
I mean, it's honestly, I think less Sharknado because that's like just way more comedy.
well,
I think this is
yeah,
just like an action movie with sharks.
right.
If you like Fast and Furious movies, go see
Totally.
this. You'll like it.
Right. Remember I said that, and I don't know if I told you or a few people or someone else in a text a while ago when I saw the trailer. I'm like, it kind of looks very Fast and Furious, and I'm like, I'm worried.
No, but
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. And if we're both thinking that, and we're both always right, obviously, then yeah,
mhm.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that like those movies, so they'll probably enjoy this one. I would say, okay,
I'll say one thing that is awesome. If you look up online and look up in the like the Thames,
hmm
they put giant megalodon fins all over the Thames where people are out in the water. to
Oh,
promote
really?
This movie, and you should look up the pictures. It makes you like the movie a little more.
Yeah, I mean,
It's funny. People are like, what the fuck?
I would see it just for I would tell people to see it just for the creatures and the sharks and the fucking Kraken alone. I'm like, that stuff's cool. And if you like monster movies.
I wouldn't say to not see it.
Yeah.
See it.
Yeah.
But expect an action movie.
Yeah. Which just makes me sad a little bit. But there you have it. That comes out to Crossing the Streams 2. We think you should see it, but don't expect much. And
Expect an action movie.
Yeah, definitely expect an action movie. Since we don't have a guest host on this episode to thank, we're just going to thank all of you people out there for coming and hanging out, for coming all over everything. No, for hanging out with us again.
Whoa.
Well, we were talking about girth and everything before. Makes sense.
And size.
Size, yeah. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us again. And listen to us trash, but not trash the Meg 2.
Listen to us talk about an action movie that we don't think should be the sequel to the Meg.
I hear you looking
There you
for
go.
Candyman, bitch.
Perfect way to end it. All right, everybody. Stay tuned for the next
Bye.
episode of Monster Candy Podcast.
Burton just looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Get away from her, you bitch!"
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Your move, creep.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.